Yo, it's Hoodie Volt. I was just having some thoughts on the price of gas and how the Keystone Pipeline impacts that. So if you have any questions or any points that you'd like to bring to my attention, please leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you think. What's going on? Today I'm going to talk about why I do not think that Joe Biden is the driving factor behind the current rise in gas prices. I'll preface this by saying that I did not vote for Joe Biden, nor does it bring me any pleasure defending him. But when a simple concept of supply and demand is under scrutiny, I would like to offer my opinion. So, first, we'll look at why the gas prices were so low to begin with. We'll look at why it's rising now, and we'll look at what impact the Keystone Pipeline may or may not play in the current change in gas prices. So, to understand why gas prices were so low to begin with in 2020, the pandemic is obviously the first thing that comes to mind. You have extremely low demand because no one is traveling anywhere. People are locked in their houses. No one has need for gas, so it drives the prices down. You have a continuous supply production of oil and gas, which keeps supply high and demand low, which drives price down. The Keystone Pipeline currently sends 550,000 barrels a day. The Keystone XL would have sent 830,000 barrels per day. So by cutting that, you're cutting about 300,000 barrels per day from the production. So in theory, that does drive down supply, which if demand stays consistent, you have a rising price. But there are other factors at play when you look at that supply. So you would know that if the current pipeline stays in place, the refineries in the Midwest have confidence that they are going to be able to send this oil through this current pipeline, not have to change anything for the foreseeable future. So that brings confidence in the supply, which possibly boosts the price. So why do I think the prices of gas are rising so rapidly? Let's start with the supply. You see what's happening in Texas right now. This cuts about 1 billion barrels per day of production from the US's oil production, which is about 20% of our total production. So now think about that in terms of the Keystone XL. That 300,000 difference seems minuscule compared to the loss of 1 billion barrels per day in supply that we are currently seeing. You are also seeing a rise in demand. The rise in demand is coming from COVID vaccinations being rolled out at a growing rate. You have people traveling, more people are going back to work, people are going on vacation, etc. You have an estimated 200 barrels per day of demand that will come because of the $2 trillion stimulus package that is supposedly going to be passed. So when you look at all these factors, there are a lot of other things at play aside from the change from the Keystone XL back to the regular Keystone. That percentage change in supply means nothing in comparison to what we are seeing right now because of what is happening in Texas. So if you keep supply at a steady rate and demand increases, which it is now, the price will still go up. So even if the supply were to stay the same, you would still be seeing a rise in gas prices. That rise is being blown up because of the also current drop in supply. So when you have this massive imbalance between supply and demand, the price goes crazy. Or if you look at the price of gas during COVID and pre-COVID, you will see that under Trump, the gas prices were higher than they are even now. So I don't understand why the politics takes the lead over the actual concept of supply and demand, which drives the price of oil. So please research these topics before you come at me with some dumb shit.